everybody. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I'm really guided this morning to do a meditation. So, are you all okay with that? Okay. And are people okay when I use the word Christ? Everybody okay with if I use the word Christ? Okay. Because Christ is our divinity. It's not a person. And a lot of people think Christ is a person and that Christ was crucified, and that is not true. Jesus, the man, was crucified, but not the Christ energy. Christ energy can't be. Lower your lips to Tamar. So good, everybody's got their feet on the floor, they're uncrossed, and I just, we might get a visitor afterwards, after I get done with this. Roxy, just sort of, if that happens to me, just tell them what it is. Okay. And I said, what's it? Just skip it to the next one. That's my favorite CD too. It's Reiki Light.
What do you mean by visitor? Like in the channel?
I have a guy that sometimes likes to come in after I do a meditation, and his name is Isaac, and I feel him really strong, so he might come in after the meditation and just say a few things to everybody. Okay? Are we good over there? I don't want to start. So we're good.
No, it's still up on the Zoom one.
Hey, Roxy, what if you put yours in?
Alright.
Why don't you do? We know yours don't have any scratches.
Alright.
And just, put it on roll. It's Tibetan bowls that she has, so it just helps to clear. Because when you begin to meditate, you begin to release.
And I see what I skipped. What did you say? I only had one track, so that's fine. So it doesn't go.
Okay, thank you. We'll wait for our beloved. Everybody just take in a deep breath and exhale out. And breathe in again and let it go. And one more time, breathe in and let it go. Feel this breath. This breath that moves through your nostrils and down into your lungs. As you breathe in this breath, see it as a mystical and enchanting light that is entering your nostrils and down into your body. And the greater the visualization, the stronger it becomes. This is the breath of God. There was a time when God breathed into the nostrils of man, a manifestation took on form. And as you breathe, your body becomes more relaxed. Feel the power of this breath as you pull it into your body. Feel the peace that this breath is, that passes all understanding. And your body begins to relax even more. Relax, let go, surrender. Feel yourself gently falling down into your chest area. Your attention is going into your chest area, your heart area. Just visualize a doorway. And you're standing before this doorway. It's a beautiful door. And you look above the doorway and you read the inner chamber of the Most High. The doors begin to open, and this magnificent golden white light streams out before you. You cannot help yourself. As you walk in, through the door, through the doorway, and you stand in the midst of this magnificent light. You feel the light. You feel the light regenerating your body, replenishing your soul. You feel at peace. You feel so loved by this light. The light speaks. It says, my beloved, I have been waiting for you. Off in the distance a bit, you see someone coming towards you, walking fast. And the closer he comes, you notice it is the Master. He has his arms stretched forth for you. He greets you with the biggest smile and the biggest embrace. Feel the hug. Feel the love. puts both his hands on your face and he looks deep into your eyes. And tears may stream down your eyes. And he wipes them away with his thumbs. And he looks deeply into you and says, I have been waiting for you. My love for you is eternal, unchanging. I know what your heart and your mind says. I know what you experienced. I am with you. The love and the compassion is something you've never felt before to this extent. And he says, come with me. He puts his arm around your shoulder and you walk together. A path appears before you. And the most incredible forest appears. You see incredible colors of all kinds, from all different flowers and plants. And you see animals coming out to greet him. And they are filled with love. Peace. And you keep walking this path. And he brushes away some branches. And there is a bench in front of the stream. He said, come sit with me. Come sit with me for a while. Let us flow with the stream. You are just in awe. You both sit down. You can hear the stream. You can see it. You can smell the freshness of the water. And Jesus said to you, I have loved you with an everlasting love, and I shall never leave you desolate, nor have I. Your soul needs to be replenished, for you are weary. You seek the light of the Christ. You seek the consciousness of the Christ. I tell you now, you are the Christ. You are the Christ energy. In this space of peacefulness, you now know that the Christ in you is your hope of glory. And you can do all things. From this Christ energy point within you, that you must come daily There is no greater place within you than this point. Each time you visit, it becomes greater. Be still. Let the loving light feed you. Let the loving light nourish you. Let the loving light instruct you. Just sit in receptivity of the light and become the light in the stillness. Affirm with yourself, I am the light. I am the light of the Christ that I am. I am the light of the Christ that I am. I release the Christ energy to move through me, to vibrate through me, to be me. I release the Christ energy within me to vibrate in and through me, as me. For I am the Christ. Jesus now takes your hand, and again he looks deep into your eyes. And he says, my beloved, too shall heal the sick and cast out the demons. But only here in stillness will you really know how to do it. And I am always here for you. Visit that. Check in with me often. I await you. Until your next visit, I await you. Together, we can do all things, express all love, and heal separation in the world. For we are all one. Remember my words. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things shall come unto you. I said it 2,000 years ago, and I say it today. My beloved, give me a hug. Hug me tightly. Feel me. Know me. For I am always here. And as you begin to open your eyes, the Master Teacher is gone. Gone from your sight, but not from your heart. Bring this feeling or feelings with you as you slowly come back to this place and time, being re-energized and renewed, and a sense of knowing what it is that is yours to do and what is left for God to do. Breathe in deeply and exhale out. Slowly become aware of your body and begin to stretch your hands and your feet and begin to move. And so it is. Anybody want to comment? You sure are. Heather, you want to share something? Of course you will. Sandy, you got that? Did you want to say anything? Sure.
I'm speechless.
Roxy?
Very loving, relaxed, peaceful.
Do you all need a love? It's a very special kind of love you experienced there, didn't you? Those are the kind of meditations I do. I take you right there. go there and experience it and call for it, the Christ energy in us, the more active it becomes inside of us. Because now we have an awareness of it. We can see it, we can feel it, we can be it. And whether you consciously are aware of it or not, it's going to work through you. And you will just notice that things will just begin to fall away that weren't really working in your life, or people or circumstances are just like, it's not important anymore. But if we keep going back to this place and time within us, you'll be amazed. You know, even at night, if you just put your hand on your heart and before you go to bed or while you're trying to go to sleep, just say, I surrender. I surrender to my Christ self. I surrender to who I really am. And you know, it's one of the most vulnerable times because our mind is beginning to slow down, our ego is not going to be interfering so much. And then what happens is that our guides and the God of our understanding, the Holy Spirit comes in and begins to do work on you. Begins to heal, to transform, to renew, to regenerate. And part of today's lesson is about allowing. And how do we allow? This meditation allowed us to allow the goodness that is ours to flow in and through us. And I think that's how it goes back to that peace be still. And know that I am God, and that one of the most important words in that entire biblical verse is be. Because if we're being, we're still. And if we're still, we're knowing. And if we're being still and knowing, we know who we really are. We're a spirit of God. And it's about dissolving this limitation of the human concept. And in the book, The Way of Mastery, I went along and I just keep reading and rereading, and then I think I never read it, and then I have to read it again. And, on page 159, it says, you are in the holiest of temples yourself. And that's on page 159. The second paragraph, you are in the holiest of temples. You abide in the perfect moment for your transformation. Nothing limits you at all or at any time. The power of the freedom of choice is the essence of Christ. And the last sentence, in reality, nothing is impossible to you and nothing unavailable to you. Man, we still got those thoughts, don't we? How am I going to get that? But if we stopped and went within and maybe visualized it inside the inner chamber and asked for the releasing of that energy to vibrate through us so that we can attract it to us, it can be done. It really can be done. But we also have to remember to say, God, this or something better. Because we don't want an attachment to the end result. Because God might have something even greater in store for you. Or maybe God might be wanting to protect you from something that isn't for your highest and best good. And take you somewhere else. And then on page 160, it goes down and says, the way of transformation is much simpler than you think. Have we not made it complicated? How have you guys made it complicated in your life? I'm not going to give you all the answers. It's a discussion, too. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm not listening. I want what I want when I want it. Attitude is my favorite one. What else?
Kind of one of the things that you said that I struggle with constantly, you mentioned ask for it. And I'm struggling with the how to ask, because there are times when I've been taught when you command it, it is an energy that must be commanded and directed. At the same time, it seems like, well, this is God. How do I command God? And I just go back and forth between that all the time. And I feel like when he says, it's much simpler than you think, I feel like I'm complicating it tremendously, just even by the question of how do I ask? Or how do I command? Or how does it work? That's one of my things.
I know for myself I get stuck in what I think it should look like. And that's, okay, I'm commanding the universe or asking the universe that this is what I want. This is what I desire. This is what I'm aiming towards. So what if we did say, God, if you have something better in store for me, I am open to receiving that. Because God is always going to give us in love. God is always going to, or the universe, whatever you want to call it, God is always going to want to give us our highest and our best good. Our complication comes in that sometimes we think we know what is our highest and best good. And then in other words, we're saying we know better than God. Aren't we?
I've kind of come to the conclusion that God always has something better in store than what we can imagine. Always. Always, always, always. No matter what it is we're asking for. But then it still takes me back to the whole thing. So then why am I commanding and why am I not just saying, God, whatever it is you have in store for me? But they say, no, you got to be specific. See, again, I'm complicating it. Oh, but I get stuck here all the time. All the time.
Isn't that what this is about, surrender?
Does she have a right to ask that?
To ask what?
To command what she wants from God? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I mean,
Well, we're asking, isn't that sort of like a command?
Well, there's some teachings that say be very bold. I command, my Christ energy to go forth and blah, blah, blah. No. Be very specific, very...
Well, see, I can see that, where you can be very assertive, that one of my favorite affirmations is the Spirit of truth goes before me, preparing my way, making it easy, joyous, successful, productive, and prosperous in all ways. Now, that's a command, is it not?
And by the way, I love that. I wrote that down last time, and I'm meditated to that. That's very powerful.
Right. So, if we go and we say, okay, God, I desire to have this X, Y, Z, but I send forth the Spirit of truth to prepare my way for this or something better, because God, your will for me is greater than my own. Again, it goes back to the surrender. It goes back to allowing. And in this book, Joshua says it's about us just allowing. And how we get to allowing is that I want to create this in the highest vibration of love. The highest vibration of love. And if God is love, then we're going to... Okay, let's take an example. Say, God, I desire to do more creative work for you, to be of service for you. And I want to do it in love. And if we're doing it in love, it should pretty much come easily and effortlessly in a lot of ways, not always. Sometimes we've got little obstacles because the ego's going to throw a little something. See, it's not good. It's not good enough. So we have to distinguish. And I think it all goes back, Sharon, it's about consulting, going in. Consulting work is huge. Mentoring work is huge. So why aren't we going into the true authority, the Christ within us, for that mentoring, for that adjustment? If we have an open mind and an open heart, then we're not attached to the outcome. We will know that the outcome is always going to be good. No matter what it looks like, in the end, it's always going to be good, because we're asking God's assistance. We're being mentored by the Christ within. We are being coached by the Christ within. Jesus always went to the mountains to pray. And you think, you got 10, 20,000 people yelling and screaming at you, you got to take a break from them. And he probably had to consult with God. What do I do with these people? So why aren't we consulting with our own Christ nature? How can I make this situation better? How can I come from love in this situation? How can I allow love to move through me to bless this circumstance? And again, it goes back to we're allowing. It's the surrender and allowing. Surrender and allowing. I think it really comes down to that, you know what? The Christ in us knows what our absolute good is and our will. And if we're humble enough to say, God, I want X, Y, Z. But if there's something more in store for me, then I want that. I choose that, God. I choose what you give me. I think it's about crumbling that ego aspect of us. Thinking that this is what we want. And then if we go back into the book too, Jesus talks about desire. Why are we truly desiring this in our life? Why are we truly, what is the true desire behind this command, this need, this want? What is really the desire? I want a new job, God. I want this job. Do we act only if it's right for me and will help me to achieve what I want to achieve, what I'm here to achieve? See, we get impatient. Okay, I get impatient. I don't know about you guys, but I do. I want what I want when I want it. And that will always step in and just, if you do this, it'll hurry it up. God is on no time schedule. God lives in eternity. We're the one that's on the time schedule. It's about going back within and allowing this or something better, God. I desire to give you an example. I applied for a couple different churches to become, the single minister. And I could have sworn I was going to get one of them. I didn't either. So I had to turn around and say, what is my deepest desire? And it's to be of service to God. To teach what I love to teach, to do what I love to do. Who am I to say what platform it takes? I think it was in a church. But really, my desire is to grow, to expand, to help other people personally and spiritually transform their lives. So, right now, those couple churches, it just didn't happen. So, I know what my desire is, but where's the right platform? Now, I was pushed out of my last church by a whole handful of 5 people, basically. We were members, 2 people. And I want you to know that prior to that happening in my life, you know what happened? I kept getting the feeling that I was to reach more people and that I should leave my church. prosperity. They're a debt-free church. They have $100,000 in the bank. You know, I'm telling myself everything that I did, everything I got on my resume. All my accomplishments. But prior to that, let's just leave the church. You know, you need to go. Start looking, start expanding your horizons more. Intellectually, I talked myself into, that was my ego talking to me. You see the point here? It wasn't ego talking to me. I thought it was ego talking to me because it said you need to talk to more people, you need to reach more people, you have to expand your horizons. And I just thought, oh, you know, my personality said, well, you could do it here, just keep going to church like it's been growing. And I shut myself down to that idea, and then I got the cosmic kick. Okay? We don't have to learn our lessons that hard. 6 months later, it was gone, it was gone. So, you know, and I said earlier today that one of my biggest problems was that I've never stopped and said, God, if this is what you want me to do, then show me. And we will never know, Sharon, unless we keep consulting within. God, show me the way. If this is the way I'm meant to go, then show me the way. I want to do this in love. I want to create from love. I desire to express more of you here on earth. I want to do what I love, God. You know, you put this desire in my heart. It's like we have to have little come to Jesus talks with ourselves. And even with that meditation, you know, go back to that bench by the stream and have a Jesus conversation, saying, you know, I don't understand. You know, state the facts there and see what happens, and then sit in the stillness with your Christ self and see what comes up. That's brilliant. I just thought of that. That's really brilliant. I didn't think of it came to me. I mean, if we're really going to allow, but see, our whole society says, you know, think it, put the intention out there, blah, 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 and, you know, just make it happen, go after it until it happens. And then a lot of us end up in places we wish we never got. And we go, why was I that close-minded? But if we're doing it from love and we're consulting from within and going and being mentored from our Christ self and visually seeing that vortex of Christ energy open up inside of us and stepping into that room of light, which is really the room of illumination. We will be filled. We will walk away with a knowingness that we don't even know yet. It might have to be released and we're going to vibrate it and then all, you know, God orchestrates everything out in our life to give us whatever it is that we truly desire. But are we listening? Are we aware? That's where the allowing comes in. That allowance means to begin to view life differently. And how are you going to view your life differently? Sharon, how are you going to do it differently? You know, go within and say, okay, God, I really have a desire to do my work that you have inscribed in my heart. And this is the way I think I need to approach it. So show me the way. And it goes back to the humility. That we don't know everything. We get ourselves in the biz bag of dirty laundry because we think we know what we're doing. But yet we've been brought up oh, you're strong, you can handle it, you can do it yourself. Can we? If we have a connection, we'll have a lot more. And the other thing I got about Mommy is this: we gotta be honest with ourselves. Why do I really want this? Go deeper, go deeper. Why do I really desire this? And then we have to realize that we, and this can be challenging because we all have this, thinking we're separate, is that we are already loved by the only source that is the most important. Listen, that's something. Are you getting awakened there, Jerry? He told me earlier, I really want to become awakened today, so I tapped him on the corner. You're awakened, you can go now. But he said to stay for the class. This is called living the stuff. I mean, I make notes on my notes of what I read. Because it keeps taking me deeper.
Along some of the lines, she said, how are you doing it different? I know that for the past 3 years, I've really been, and this is in terms of my work, really, asking God, well, and I said something similar. You gave me a desire to do what I'm doing here, and it's done okay, but I know this is nothing near what I'm capable of. And I know that for me, owning who I am, and what I'm capable of, and honoring who I really am by using my gifts to help others, really owning it and living it has changed everything. I mean, really changed everything. I mean, I hid behind everything for so long, and it didn't work. It wasn't working. And it wasn't until I really just said, okay, this is who I am, and this is what's in my heart, and go bold with it. And then what popped up was something else you said. You said, oh, we want to rush it. I want what I want now. Okay, God, I've had this revelation. It should all manifest right now. And then it was like, okay, yeah. But then I started meeting all these people with different skill sets. This person had this. And it was like little pieces coming together. So I think once I allowed, it did become easier. Not faster necessarily.
Keywords.
Yeah.
Easier or not faster?
Not necessarily. Some things did happen quicker than, put it this way, 3 years of progress versus 15 years of trying. Relatively faster, but easier when you allow. I think that's one way you know when it's coming from your Christ self is the ease, the grace and ease of it all. It's a struggle constantly.
Then we have a lot of human stuff that's standing in our way if we're struggling.
Constantly. I know people who are constantly struggling. Every day is a new drama. Every day it's a new obstacle. And I know we grow through some things. We all have our path to where we're trying to go. But there's just some things that get in our way that you just stand back objectively. At least someone objectively can stand back and look like, wow, why are you making it so hard? Why are you in your way so much? Just allow. Get out of the way. Let it go.
I like what Joshua says in this book. Our one and only deepest desire should be the Christ incarnate. But if you think about it, everything else would fall into place. Would it not? And I really think it's that personality, that ego, that just wants to get it done really fast so that we can go on to the next thing sometimes. But, I always think of it about, the birth of a child. We're which is also symbolic of a divine idea, it takes 9 months for it to really develop, fully develop in the mother's womb. And if it comes out too early, it can be messed up. And if it comes out too late, there can be damage done there too. So it's that perfect timing. And it's the same thing with the butterfly, becoming the caterpillar to the butterfly. If you see the cocoon of the caterpillar that's beginning to open, and we go and we force it open, the butterfly is not going to last as long because it didn't go through the struggle with its wings to become strong enough to carry it through life. And it's the same thing with us, because there's a lot of people out there saying, well, if you think it and you put a lot of, energy on it and, just stay focused on the intention, blah, 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 visualize it, visualize it, visualize it. But where does it come in about feeling it? And sometimes we all get prosperous, or sometimes we'll attract in whatever it is, but it doesn't stay. It doesn't stay long. Why? Whether it's the prosperity, or the brand new car, or the promotion, or the relationship, what happens? Do we force it? It's about allowing. Surrender. Okay, God, you know the desires of my heart. I want to be able to love somebody deeply and passionately, and I want that person to love me deeply and passionately in a very healthy and nurturing way for both of us. But yet, we'll go around saying, oh, I want my relationship. I want my perfect relationship. And people just put in all this energy about that perfect relationship. And they even give visual aid boards of that person. And they put it on there. And there was one thing I was taught early. Well, how do you know what's inside that person? Or what they can offer you? Or a healthy body. The person might look, oh, I want a thin body like this person has, and they cut it out and they put it up there, and they visualize that, and then they get that body, but then they have health challenges. How do you know that that person in that picture didn't have that health challenge that you cut out? You understand what I'm saying? So we really have to ask God to do the details, and I think that's part of us surrendering is God, do the details and keep my personality and my big fat ego out of the way.
I think what also happens when we get some of these things, sometimes I know I coach a lot of people and I see this often, is that they start off all connected to their source of being, because they're in that stage of, wanting, this is something that they don't have. They want it and they get it. And then it's like inch by inch, they stop consulting. They stop the connection. They stop the flow. And they forget, I don't know if it's forgetting, but they neglect.
It didn't happen quick enough, fast enough, so they said, oh, just let it go, this stuff don't work.
Or when they did get it. Oh, I got it now, and now they're also wrapped up in loving what they have, but they forget how it came.
And look at how many people have become multi-millionaires and lost it in 2 years. Why was that? Were they prepared for it? And here's another thing. Sometimes we don't get things as quick as we would like them because we have not yet learned the lesson or had the awakening of what has been blocking us to receiving.
Or maybe it's not in your highest good for you to receive it. I think, and maybe we need to see through this, you mentioned
Christ incarnated.
Exactly, but that is our essence, who we all are.
And wait, don't even say, don't you really want to be that? If you got away from all your fears and doubts and your intellectual garble?
Yes, and when you can hold that space by breaking down all the other things, the ego and everything that's around that, then you can truly manifest. And what you manifest will be for your higher good and for the higher good of anyone, around you will be taken care of. And when we're not in that place, it's usually crap, and it's suffering, and it's fear, or it's temporary. It's because we're creating from another vibration that is not that. So this book, this work, I revolved on years ago without getting to this Christ self that we are. It just wasn't that guy. It just wasn't Jeshua, as he says. It is all of us. And this work is about getting to that within us. We're men and women, and we have a Christ self. That's who we really are.
And I think the more that we go within and we consult God, or that divinity, whatever you want to call it, that Christ nature, the more then we release the energy of it and the more we become it. And I think it's just a natural process. And I think that's what happened to Jesus. Every time, he went to the mountains. Mountains is a higher consciousness. Or he went out on the boat in the water. He went for a cleansing and a purification of his consciousness. You can see all the symbolism going on here and why he was doing the things, There's people who just, they wear you down in life. And I'm sure he got worn down with some of these people that were following him. And he had to go back and reconnect with his source so that he could come back and deal with them again. So there might have been change of plans. And there was one thing, and I think I've said it before, sometimes I talk in so many different places I forget what I say there, so just excuse me. But when there was a friend of mine who taught me something, she said, Patty, stop asking yourself what you've done wrong. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And if you think about it, it's a way we put ourselves down. We belittle ourselves. We support the idea that we're not good enough. We're not worthy enough. She said, why don't you ask the question instead, what is it I need to change? Look at the power and the vibration in both of those. One will build you up and the other one will pull you down. What is it I need to change? And maybe, that's part of what you need to ask. Sharon is, okay, God, you gave me this desire. What is it I really need to shift here? What is it I really need to change? Reveal to me where I'm not on target here.
Another good question.